The default marker on a Google map is a red icon, but you can change the color of that icon, and you can even use your own custom graphics to create your own icons for Google Maps. I'm working in a project named Custom Markers, and I'll show you first how to change the color of the default marker. I'll go once again to my geolocate method, where I'm adding a marker to the map. I'll place the cursor here and get rid of the closing semicolon because I'm going to chain another method call with .icon. The icon method takes an object called a bitmap descriptor, and you can create that bitmap descriptor using a bitmap descriptor factory. So I'll call bitmap descriptor factory, and then a method called default marker. And then I'll use one of these constants of the factory class. They each start with the word hue and end with a color. And I'll choose hue blue. And that's all I need to do to change the color of the marker. I'll run the app, and this version of the app opens to the default location because I've removed the code that went directly to Seattle. I'll enter a value. Once again, I'll use New York. And when I go there, I see that the marker is now blue. And when I touch the marker, I still get the default behavior, showing a default info window showing the locality. You also notice the icons in the lower right corner that appear. I'll talk about those later. But now let's go through all the steps we need to follow to use a custom graphic as a marker on a map. First of all, I'm going to need a graphic, and I'll get it from my Assets folder under Launcher Icons, and I'll use this graphic called Landon Launcher. It's for a fictional company called Landon Hotels. I'll take this graphic and turn it into a usable icon. To do that, I'll use an application called the Android Asset Studio. You can find it at this URL. The Asset Studio gives you a lot of tools for turning graphics into icons and executing other graphic tasks. I'll go to Generic Icons, and then I'll click Image. I'll browse to the folder that contains my launcher icons under my exercise files, and I'll choose the Landon Launcher icon. This application will show you the default output at the bottom of the screen. There's a number of things that you can do with it to change its image, but I'm going to accept it as is. I'm just going to change the name of the graphics that are being created to IC_map marker. I'll wait a moment, and then I'll click Download Zip, and then navigate to the folder where it's been downloaded. This is the one I'm interested in, IC_map marker. I'll extract all of the files to my local disk. On Mac, just double-click on the zip file. Then I'll drill down into the Resources folder that's been created, and I'll see 5 subfolders for all the various pixel density buckets, and each of those contains one version of the icon I created. Now, to integrate that into my application, I'll come back to the Resources folder, and I'll select all of these subfolders and copy them to the clipboard. Then I'll go back to Android Studio. In Android Studio, I'll go to the Project window, and then to the Resources folder, and I'll right-click and paste, and then click OK. And that adds all 5 files to my project. Now, in order to use those files, I'll comment out this version of the code that's creating a marker but just changing the color. And then once again, I'll call .icon, and I'll once again use the bitmap descriptor factory class, but this time I'll use FromResource. And I'll pass in the resource, r.drawable.icmapmarker. And I'll run the app again. And once again, I'll type in a location. This time I'll type in London. I'll touch search. And I'm taken to that location, but my marker is now my custom graphic. Now, when you use a custom graphic and you touch it, once again, you'll get those icons that float in from the lower right, but you won't get an info window. Once you've committed to your own custom graphic, if you want an info window, you'll have to program it yourself. But I'll show you how to do that next.